Welcome back to another podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Millie, here with another episode with Seth Whitted in the building. Tell people a little bit about yourself, a little about just kind of what you do and what you're about.
Yeah, my name's Seth Whitted. So what I do is I'm a videographer, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a project manager, marketing expert. Most importantly, I'm an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
in my business I focus on empowering our communities, like Black communities, especially underserved Black communities, and showing our community how to build wealth by focusing on mental health,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship, and breaking negative cycles. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's a little bit about me. That's what my mission is, and that's what I do.
For sure. I was seeing on your Instagram talking about having many hats. What would you say the importance of that is?
Wearing many hats,
Yeah, wearing many hats.
I think it's the worst thing that you could do, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that a lot of us are forced to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're starting out, especially if you come from the bottom, you just forced to get all the jobs done. I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times I come from a community where, you'll hear people say a lot of times, well, I don't got the money, or I don't got a rich uncle, or I don't know nobody who does this. So I was always the guy to say, I don't care. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going, I'm going to figure it out. Like back
Exactly.
when I did music, I'm gonna figure out how to record myself. I'm gonna do so. We learn how to wear a million hats out of survival,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually, in order to really succeed, we have to get out of
Mm-hmm.
wearing hats. And what I'm learning now is that the skill sets and the mentality that get you to the next level
Mm-hmm.
will be an enemy to you getting to the next level,
Mm.
if that makes any sense. So the
That
hustle
does
and
make sense.
grind, the mindset that it took to get yourself at least a little bit out of the struggle will
Mm-hmm.
stop you from reaching the next level. Each
Mm-hmm.
level requires more learning and more adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would also say when like coming from a spot where you have to wear a bunch of hats and you have to do a bunch of things, like from my own personal experience, I would say it becomes hard to let go and be able to put things in other people's hands, even to have more time to do other things that you need to do because you just want to grab onto everything because your baby almost. You know what I mean?
Nah, that's a fact. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't delegate.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you build that trust, for me, and I learned this the hard way in a good way, a good lesson was other people weren't the issue. I used
Mm-hmm.
to think that I couldn't trust people because you give somebody a task and you end up having to come behind them, clean up, and still do the job. But the problem was me.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting other people to be me
Mm-hmm.
when you really need to play it just like a job. You have to train people to do what you do. Like when you go to a job, you have interview,
Mm-hmm.
orientation, you shadow somebody, you in what's it called? Probation. Like
Mm-hmm.
it could be 9 months before you actually get to do the work by yourself.
For sure.
But in our businesses, we be like, hey yo, go edit this video. And then that person doesn't edit it right. And you're like, oh, this is why I can't trust nobody.
Mm-hmm.
No, you got to figure out how, first off, understand what's unique about you and why you're so skilled, and
Mm-hmm.
try to turn that into a training. How can I train other people to see and feel what I feel? The trust gets built when you can train somebody to do that it factor that you got. Beyonce can
Mm-hmm.
see things, she can hear things that others can't hear.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron can see things on the court that others can't see. The more that they could teach that, the more they could trust other people.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely, most definitely, and I feel like we're all our own people. So, like, how would you expect somebody to do things exactly how you would do it if they're not you, in a way?
Right. You got to create a training. Like I don't do any more video editing, although I
Mm-hmm.
run a video production company. So what I have to do is I sit down and I create a Google Doc that says what the history is, what I'm looking for from the beginning to the end. I make sure there's no questions that they can ask. I'll
Mm-hmm.
even throw that description in ChatGPT and be like, ChatGPT, is this clear? Do you have
Yeah.
any questions? And ChatGPT will ask me like 5 to 7 more questions. and then I send it to them. And so now the editors know exactly what I'm looking for. There's no assumptions, and I'm getting close to what I'm actually looking for, which is better. If you can get 80% of what you're actually looking for, that's way better than normal.
So communication,
Extreme, overly
communication. No,
communication.
yeah.
Not assuming, can't assume shit. Don't assume anybody got the same work ethic. They don't see what you see. They can't hear what you hear. Make sure.
Most
1,000.
definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
On your book, Breaking Cycles, and just talking about cycle bad habits, all those type of things. I say a big one for people is procrastination. And I feel like that destroys people. How do you feel about procrastination? What would you say to somebody who's dealing with that?
Man, that's a tough one because I remember procrastination being an issue of mine. Um, so I guess all I could do is speak about what I do to prevent it. Um, and for me, right? So I always grew up that kid who they would call ADHD, all of that.
Yeah, I get it.
One thing that comes with ADHD is if we're not, at least for me, if I'm not actually achieving things, if things aren't happening for me, like I go into a dark rut.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? I hate that rut. And I vowed to never fall into one again that has to do with me not being proactive. So number one, that's a motivator for me. Number two, of course, I want to get my family out of the financial circumstances that we grew up in.
For sure.
And so I have weekly meetings where I look at my 5-year goals, my 1-year goals. All right, what needs to be accomplished this week? And I write out what needs to be done. And before I go to bed each night, I look at that list and choose the most important 3 things. And I set deadlines for them. And so I know in my mind, if I don't get these things done, things don't progress. If they don't progress a few months from now, I'm going to find myself in this dark spot. My family ain't progress and I could fall off. So number one, knowing what I don't want to feel. Number two, having that planning out my days before I even go to bed and setting goals. I set timers, bro. Like if I'd be like, yo,
Yeah, I saw that.
if you see my to-do list, it'd be like, okay, you wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., do this, 6 a.m., 7.
Yeah.
And you never knock it out. It's never perfect. But the day is way more productive when I map it out than if I don't map it out. You
So
know what I
most
mean?
people have no structure. Like most people, you just wake up and you just okay, whatever. Like what comes next in my mind.
And the days that I don't have structure, it kills me. I immediately will slow down right there, be like, whoa. Where's your list of goals? Boom, boom. Because it's easy to forget what your goals are, and it's easy to just let the day keep drifting by. Super easy.
I bet that can make a huge difference too. Just setting your morning right, having a plan of action, like that's just gonna set you up so well. I started doing that like a couple days ago, and that's like helped me a bunch, so much.
Hell yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. What do you do?
Wake up. Oh, okay, so I wake up at 5:30, and I want to be at the gym by 6. I'm at the gym from 6 to 7, and then that 7 to 8 is when I eat and shower. And after a shower, from 8 to 9, I want to work on my podcast. And then from the 9 to 10 before I go to work, I'll just read or do whatever, a little something to get something in my mind.
Okay. All right. That's what's up, man. That's what's
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
it's been working smooth. I finally got some type of system that works. It's easy.
Do you and you probably do, but do you have anywhere in your day that's required for, I don't know, reading, learning, listening to others where you consume content?
I would say that 9 to 10, like when I read my book.
Okay.
But besides then, like I don't really have like a set time besides that.
Because for me and all the other cats that I run with, that's one of the biggest motivators. That's one of the things that helps me elevate the most is that moment when, because I don't listen. I love music and I haven't listened to music in a while. If I'm riding in the car, I'm listening to one of my audiobooks, or I'm listening to a speaker. And for me, I don't read randomly. I've never really been a reader until a few years ago. And so the reading that I do, I find books that are based on my weaknesses
Mm-hmm.
or whatever I'm focused on. Like right now, I'm focused on how to acquire and purchase businesses. So I'm consuming books on that. I'm listening to people who have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of my weaknesses has been delegation, training others. So I'm still studying leadership. That's what I do. Whatever my weaknesses are, or whatever strengths I'm trying to add to me, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? That's what I'm listening to and consuming a little bit a day. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
Yeah. So
Most definitely. I feel like also I feel like people need to be real with themselves first, because I feel like in order to be able to like see those things, see what you need to improve on, see where you're slacking, you need to be real with yourself and be able to like humble yourself enough to say, okay, what am I not great at right now?
yeah, and it takes a lot
Oh
because
yeah.
it,
Oh
it,
yeah.
man, it's hard to see yourself. We all think
Mm-hmm.
that we all think that we've arrived, and if
Oh,
you
most
don't
definitely.
have a process for spotting your issues, you can stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
And
could
that's
literally
dangerous.
right. It's super dangerous, and there's nothing wrong with staying average. Like people stay average all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't want that. And so I know I've learned that there's a direct connection between me spotting my issues and me succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I've learned that years ago. And so I'm addicted to it. It's to the point where I've given all my loved ones, everybody around me, the green light. Like if you see something I can't see,
Mm-hmm.
don't let me wake up 5 to 10 years from now and spot a blind spot that you could have pointed out to me. You know what I'm saying? You could
Mm-hmm.
have pointed this out to me in 2023, but it took me 10 years to find it out. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Once you could spot that, correct it, remove it, whatever you need to do to that blind spot, God can trust you with the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe, and no, not that I believe, God has shown me that, yo, I got this for you. I can't give it to you right now because you ain't ready.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I find these blind spots, these issues, and I uproot them, boom, boom, whether it's trauma, whether it's a mental, whether it's a habit, uproot it. Here
Mm-hmm.
comes another opportunity. Here comes another opportunity. So I'm addicted to spotting my blind spots as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that's a direct connection between me and the next opportunity.
I feel like that's something you don't hear a lot, especially like for men. I feel like we struggle to express our emotions, feel our feelings, work through things. And would you say that that slows down growth process and slows down your journey, being stuck on things that have happened in your life, not working through things, tucking everything? Basically, what I'm saying.
So I think there's two things there. Number one, I just think the whole blind spot aspect, I just don't think anybody really looks into it or cares. Like you just feel like wherever you're at is where you're at. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I grew up amongst a bunch of boys. And so I thought something was wrong with me because my father wasn't in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them who had their fathers, they were just like faster, smarter. So I I was always trying, I was competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always trying to figure things out. So I stumbled upon the concept of blind spots unintentionally. I don't think that everybody really just, I don't think people just think that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not thinking, what are my blind spots?
Yeah.
Well,
No, for sure.
but the mental emotional side of things, I I think our issue is we think about like therapy and expressing our emotions from a woman's perspective.
Mm.
We tend to look at it like because society says express yourself, be vulnerable, all of these what I call female terms.
Mm-hmm.
Because men, we don't need therapy in the same way that women do. And I know people go and think I'm tripping with this. What us men need, we need to learn how to process what we're feeling as fast as possible. We
Mm-hmm.
don't really need to sit around and talk to somebody who can uh, make us soak in our emotions. We just need to assess, okay, this is how I'm feeling. Where did this come from? What's the root of it? What's going on? What is it causing? Let me figure it out. All right, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even do that. That's the problem. We don't need to go sit on somebody's couch. What you need to do is get around a lot of your bros who's healthy, who's going to be honest with you, point these things out, assess how you feel, and process it so that you can get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that that's what us as men, we don't know. We see therapy and we're like, I'm just not trying to sit on somebody's couch and just vent
Mm-hmm.
all day long. But we do need to process as fast as possible.
For sure. And I feel like also just being a man, being ahead of a house, being ahead of things. When you can't be shaky, and like if you're shaky, everybody else is shaky. Like if the general's tweaking, the army's tweaking. So it's like I feel like that's super important for us to
That's a fact.
move. Like we gotta move.
That's a fact because as much as our women, because I'm a married man,
Mm-hmm.
as much as my wife argues with me, I'd be like, yeah, I vent to my bros.
Yeah.
And she be like, yeah, that's bullshit. That's just you. You're emotionally unavailable. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to vent to you before. And it always ends up about you. Like, what's going on gets challenged. When I talk to the bros, they're gonna talk to me straight up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's just more of a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's better to talk to your bros. But if a woman really wants to be there for us,
Mm-hmm.
so that we aren't shaky, so that things aren't rocky, it's just providing that moment for us to be safe. But I'm not a woman, so I don't know how they could get there. I just
Mm-hmm.
know for me, like we podcast, and that's my therapy, talking to other men about what I'm going through, and
Exactly.
and hearing some, you know what I mean, some tough feedback.
Mm-hmm.
That's my therapy, man.
No, I get that for sure. No, I get that for sure. Like a lot of my friends will pull up, they'll come over to my place and like we'll just chill, just vibe for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just talk about his life and like it just helps a bunch. Helps a bunch to be around your own people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like females do that same thing. Like they'll get around the like, you know what I mean, their girls and they'll vent, they'll do that thing they do. You know what I mean?
but they don't mind venting at us. That's
Yeah.
their problem. Women's problem is that they vent to their friends and they vent to us. Why aren't we venting to them?
Mm.
And I think that as a man, I think I understand that. I think society has taught me that if I let my woman see this, she may lose a hint of respect for me. And if
Mm.
she loses that hint of respect for me, that could damage our relationship.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I've seen over time. This is why the whole nice guy finished last thing is
Mm.
because two things happen. I heard a psychologist say this. Two things happen for a woman. Either her motherly instinct kicks in or her sexual interest kicks in. If her motherly instinct kicks in, you're friend zoned.
Mm.
If her sexual instinct kicks in, you have the opportunity to continue, you know what I mean, going somewhere with her. This is why
Mm.
nice guys finish last because they kick in the motherly instinct. That's why women, they say they want nice guys, but they can't explain why they only want
Mm.
the guy who's energetic, the guy that other girls want, the guy, they can't explain it. But
Mm.
it's because he turns on your sexual energy. And I think men, we might not know that. I didn't know that until that therapist said it, but I understood it.
Yeah.
And so I think we get it that we gotta be a little bit more strategic
Mm.
versus just opening up.
And
Uh,
keep a frame. Like keep a frame.
right.
Mm.
1000%. You know what I mean? That's just something we're taught, you know?
Mm.
For sure.
I get that because I've even seen bros like vent to a girl like dude like just go do too much and then now she's like almost has the ick like
Yep.
like boy you soft you know what I mean like you pillow
Facts.
yeah
Facts.
what that
Yeah, man. Facts. Like I would caution um that I feel like the woman needs to really know who you are first before you go
very true
too far. Once she
very
knows
true
you, once she knows you still I have a hard time talking to my lady before I have a solution.
mm.
If something makes me afraid, or if something makes me vulnerable, or if something is messing with me, I have a hard time expressing it before I have a solution. I'll express it if I have a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if that's right or wrong. That's just what I do. It could
Mm-hmm.
be wrong. I'll eventually figure that out. But I know that things are better for me whenever I'm like, man, this is how I was feeling now, and here's the solution. I don't I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's just what I do.
Like you're saying I feel like that also saves room for less frustration and less I don't know you know what I mean
All right.
and then when she's asking you questions like you're not just like I don't know, like I'm just you know what I mean? Like you got a 360. You have a full understanding of like, okay, this is what's going on. So now you can really help me
Facts,
because
facts.
I'm tuned into my shit.
All right.
You know what I mean?
So let me ask you a question. How old are you, and what are your not goals in life, but where do you see yourself? Like,
Mm-hmm. For sure. Hey, I appreciate that because I'll get asked questions. So I appreciate that.
you know, I'm an interviewer, man. I got
Hey,
no,
for sure.
and I go to a lot of like conferences now, conventions, and a lot of times the people that are speaking to the crowd has no idea what level that crowd is at. I'll be in a speech and this person will tell me the most elementary thing. So I never want to assume that you don't know something. We could have avoided a whole 10-minute segment of me
Mm-hmm.
explaining something you already know if I understand more about you. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
like that. I like that. Me, I'm 18. I'm 18. I'm a youngin. Where I see myself, I see myself. I would say just being. I want to be a leader. I want to be a leader. I want to be an influencer. I want to be able to help like the younger generation coming up and like just be a light because like I never had like a role model like growing up or like had like a light or like you know what I'm saying. I just want to be like I want to be that role model. I want to be that light. I want to be that like that figure that like kids and just everybody can like just look up to and be like, all right, like it can get better. Like it'll be okay. Like can just grab onto. You know what I mean? And just my situation, just my life, like is just it's clinging on to myself and like I feel I just want to like I just don't want people to have to everybody have to do that in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So yeah,
What
just all you say what?
what you mean by that?
Like cling on to myself.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is like I'll say like growing up, like it'd be like nobody there, like oh I need help, like nobody there. So it's like oh I'm just confiding in my own. I'm confiding in my own. Like that's obviously good, but like it would be good to be able to like you know what I'm saying have a
Mm-hmm.
mentor of some kind. You know what I mean?
Right,
Or
right.
just any like hey it's all right, it's all right. Like
No, you right, man. Because that road that you talking about is exhausting,
oh yeah.
and I know it's exhausting now that I actually have some mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're on that road, there's so much learning that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But like a conversation like this, me being 36, you being 18, that's an 8-year time machine
Mm-hmm.
where you could be like, what would you do if you could go back to 18? I could tell you so much right now that you don't have to go study.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the benefit in having a mentor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
You 1000%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
1000.
Cause like for me, it was like I was growing up. It was like okay, I'm looking up to rappers. I'm looking up to you know what I mean, J. Cole, anybody, Martin Luther King Jr. Just anybody. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
just like I know there's like kids who are going in that same position and having that same in that same situation and are looking online, looking for anybody. You know what I mean? And so I just want to be able to like influence like people in like a positive way and like just help them.
Yeah, and one thing I challenge you to do when you follow these folks, you're gonna hear them mention people.
Mm-hmm.
Be that guy that writes that name down.
Mm.
Be that guy that when you hear this person say, "Oh yeah, see, I read this one book," and write that book down.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get into like Kevin Hart, Martin, Malcolm, all these people, they're going to give the speech that they believe the crowd is ready for.
Mm.
There's some things that they know and that they got going on that they don't think anybody's ready for. And every now and then they'll hint at some things. You got to be able to hear that stuff.
Mm.
And that's something that I try to get good at. It's like, ooh, what
Mm-hmm.
did he mention? Like one time somebody had mentioned a book called something like Black Wealth. I went and checked it out.
Mm-hmm.
In that book, he broke down all of the successful black people. And it mentioned Reginald Lewis, Don Peebles. I went and studied all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Reginald Lewis's book and Don Peebles. And then these books just led to more books and more books and more people. And all of them changed my life.
Mm.
But it wouldn't have happened if I would have just stayed at this
Mm-hmm.
specific person, which I believe it started with Nipsey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, write them names down, write them books down. One book that I challenge you to I'd start reading it tomorrow is Reginald Lewis Why should white guys have all the fun?
Mm.
This shit changed my life, bro, because he's the guy, he's the first black billionaire in the heart of the 60s.
Wow.
The first black lawyer to enter Harvard Law in the heart of the 60s.
Wow.
And he wasn't no coon.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't no sellout. He was actually one of the ones behind the civil rights funding it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And nobody knows about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And his thing is, and he does it several times in the book, when he reaches a roadblock, bro,
Mm-hmm.
first thing is he thinks as big as possible. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us will say something like, you know what, I'm gonna start this little business real quick, and then I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna flip this house. Nah, he's like, yo, which one of these properties could make me $1 million?
Mm.
You know what? Which one of these properties could make me $1 billion? And then he'll see, okay, so that building over there is selling. It's selling for $1 million. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he'll write that down. All right, this is this. Because the fact that he doesn't have $1 million doesn't stop him.
Yeah.
When he sees a roadblock, it just requires a deeper level of planning.
Mm-hmm.
That concept changed my life because now I think as big as possible. And then when I see the roadblocks, those just become more plans.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas growing up, it was, I don't got the money. I don't have $1 million.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? I don't know none of them. I don't. So let me build over here. And eventually, once I meet these people and get the money, then I'll get in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Reginald Lewis is like, no. Now is the time. Like, if you have a job, if you're running a small business or a big business, all three of those are hard. Actually, let's add being a bum. You could be a bum too. All four of those is hard. You can choose which hard you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the $1 billion difficulty, the average, or the bum difficulty. They're all hard. And so now that's what I'm on. Like I'm one of the few people in my community. This is going to be a content house. I'm buying this property right now. I didn't have the money for this property.
Yeah.
It became another plan, figuring out how do I get these funds? How do I do this?
Yeah.
And once you start to do that, you get closer and closer and closer. And then people be like, how are you growing like
How
this?
you do this?
How are you growing like this? And so read that book. It's going to change. It's going to change.
Sure. Most definitely. And that's game for everybody because like I see so many people like I'm gonna do this, but then it's I don't got do. I don't have do. But I feel like there's always something you can say you don't have. Like you can always say something you don't have. There's always an excuse. And like that time is never there. Like that time is never gonna like you just gotta put one foot and just you know what I mean? Just walk.
All right, that's a fact, man. And not only will people stop doing that because of the reason they can't, they'll go on to something smaller.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If it's real estate, they'll go, oh, you know what? That house is for $10,000. But if you know what I mean? Instead of the big, like, bro, the level of business that I do now, I focus on luxury businesses. I tell people to stay away from the hustle. I used to be in the hustle where if I was doing videos, I'm like, okay, who needs a video? $50 here, $100 here, $200 here, $200 here. And I'm like, no, I need to stop chasing money and build a system. Matter of fact, who out there is willing? I want to make $100,000. Who's willing to pay me $100,000 for a video? I'm just looking and I'm like, oh, Super Bowl commercial videos cost $1 million. Wait, so that's a possibility. Okay, if you look at the industry that you're in and see what's the maximum amount of dollar that could be made in that industry, all you got to do is go study the companies that are doing that. And once you see the structure of their business, like what they do every day, what goes into this, what kind of equipment do they have, you start to understand how they're getting $1 million business. And so now I got away from hustling and seeing my family, friends, and community as my customers. I no longer see them as my customers. I go after rich business. I bring that money, that information, them resources back to my friends, family.
Distributed, yeah.
I'm Robin Hood now.
On me.
I'm straight up Robin Hood. No longer now. If my cousin called me for a video, I'm not charging him $100 no more. No, I'm gonna come do that for free. Matter of fact, one of the people that I hire is going to show up and do it.
Yeah.
Just make sure that they get some of the food. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And that all came from Reginald and thinking extremely big and figuring out what that is. You could literally, what people don't understand is you don't work. I've learned that you don't work towards success. You don't chase success. Success chases you when you become the person who you have to become Puff before you get what Puff got.
Mm-hmm.
You got to become Jay-Z before you get what Jay-Z got. And
Mm-hmm.
that's literally spotting those blind spots. Back to the blind spots. What are your blind spots that are stopping you? Like, what can't you see?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to see what you can't see, then figure out where you want to be. What's the highest at that industry? And how can I study everybody who's up there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the mission. I wish I knew this at your age.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. I saw I've read a little bit about that what's the word? That thought of like become the person, like become the $1 million person before you can make the $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And doing those things. Like, how does that person act? How's that person? So, like, if you want to be in shape, okay, I'm gonna be okay. You want to be somebody with a 6 pack, okay? You can't eat Big Macs because that's not what somebody with a 6 pack is gonna do, and just things like that. So I feel like when you do that, and then you analyze your life and you see how like unlike connected that is, then that's when you're like, okay. And I feel like it's just you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, there's so much, and just especially like now, today's day and age, 2023, there's just so much information, so many blueprints out there that all you have to do is just look for it and then
Right.
just follow it and apply it.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. And to add to your point, when you follow that blueprint, all you have to do is figure out what your unfair advantage is
Mm-hmm.
and what separates you from other people. When you add that to the mix, you become extremely valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that my mission is to change communities like the one that I come from, the fact that I come from that community, the fact that I understand what the streets is about. I made those mistakes. I get it. I have my finger on the pulse. So I'm not just a videographer. I'm someone who knows how to change this community.
Mm-hmm.
So these organizations who have missions in my community and communities like mine see so much value in me. I'm more
Mm-hmm.
than a camera. I'm now somebody who could take up this entire mission and show you how to stop failing because they're all failing. A bunch of white people who come into black communities trying to save the black community and they can't do it because they can't connect.
Mm-hmm.
I become extremely valuable to them. You feel what I'm saying?
No, for sure, I feel that.
So if someone's into, you could be cooking. Find your unfair advantage. Find what's unique about you and figure out how that intertwines. Like people don't
Mm-hmm.
even see me as a videographer. You know what I mean? They see me as a change maker. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
so
Most
much more.
definitely.
But I do camera stuff, but I know my unfair advantage,
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm extremely valuable to people. You know what I mean?
I like that. I like that. I like what you said when you said that the white people who come in the black communities, they can't make a difference because they can't connect, but you can because you do connect. I like what you said there because I feel like this doesn't get talked about, but I feel like as black people, we're doing a disservice to our people by being role models in the wrong way and steering us back to the mindset that keeps us broke and keeps us down. And what I mean by that is I would say like just like one like who's portrayed in the black community, like who's portrayed, like when you think of like black success, we're portrayed as only rappers, singers, basketball players, drug dealers. Like that's all you see us as. You don't see us as engineers, you don't see us as scientists. And one of my boys, he got a psychology degree at Ball State, whatever. So he we were talking about this, and it really opened my mind to this, and I was like, that's very true. That's very true. Or like even like Hispanic, you know what I mean? You're looked at cocaine dealers, etc. But there's so many people and so many figures that are more than that and are staples of success. But we don't show that side. We don't show what we're really about.
Yeah. It's definitely tough. And I think a big portion of it is because when you're young, I know for me, when I was young, I was attracted to the person who was living an exciting life, who was
Same.
getting all the girls.
Oh yeah.
Um, and that normally comes with being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Most corporate jobs, Black people have to code switch.
Visual.
Black people have to shape themselves a lot in order to succeed at high levels. And what
Mm-hmm.
that does is that ends up disconnecting them from community. And they're so busy that the youth don't even get to see them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that we purposely only glorify this or purposely only show these things.
For sure.
I think that that happens because, like, if I wasn't podcasting with the kids, if I wasn't active, these kids would never see me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm putting the building up smack dab in the middle of my hood so that they could ride by and see it
Mm-hmm.
and be one of those people who they could actually see, because the folks who are successful are so busy
Mm-hmm.
that they don't get to connect with the kids. And by the time they come extremely successful, they're out of touch.
Mm.
That's the cycle that needs to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need cool. And that's why I got a project where I'm going to have 6 Black ambassadors, 3 Black men, 3 Black women. It's going to be like a reality show that are engineers, entrepreneurs, lawyers. And it's just going to show behind the scenes of their life and show that they're just as exciting as these other cats, and promote that to the age group of 15 to 25 so that they could see these different avenues. Like, yo, you can still live that life as a
Most
lawyer.
definitely. Most definitely.
And so that's what that mission is, because that's the problem I see is folks are disconnected. And so all you see is rappers and entertainment.
I would agree. I agree with that for sure. Like even like in my own life, like growing up, like I just think of money. I think of millions. That's the only routes I'm thinking of getting there. I'm not thinking any of these other routes are even like remotely. Like I think of college, I'm like, okay, I'm broke. Like, you know what I mean? That's just like what I was thinking. Like I'm going to college, I'm gonna be broke. Like this is the only routes I have.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. And I think that entrepreneurs are starting to become cool in our community.
Oh, most definitely.
Like 1000%. And here's one thing, bro. If you don't take anything from me, take this from me. I challenge you to not start a business. Hear me out. Hear me out. I challenge you to go find a business that you would want to start. Go find one that's already running and buy that business. This is something that wealthy people, affluent people understand. They understand that there's no point in reinventing the wheel. Somebody out there has a business. Like there's a guy in Ohio, I just seen it on Craigslist yesterday. He's selling his videography business. He's like 60 something years old. He's ready to retire. He wants to let the business go. And here's the thing with businesses, right? These folks want their legacies to live on. So they do what's called seller financing. And seller financing is that person will stay on for the next 2 years, show you how to run this business. You might not even have to run it. You might just need to be a good leader because it already has employees. It already got this stuff. He wants $200,000 and he says, pay me from the profits every month for the next 5 years until you pay me that $200,000. You don't have to come out of your pocket no money at all.
Wow.
And if the bank, and if you want to go the bank route, if the bank sees, oh, this plumber business has been around 20 years. Oh, we of course we want some of that money. Here's the loan. They want to get into that business because they know it's thriving, and all they need to do is trust that you can continue to lead it.
That's
So
game. That's game.
That's why I said earlier, I'm focused. Last year, I've been studying how to acquire businesses.
Yeah.
And you want to, first off, acquire businesses that don't require you to be there. Right down the street, I just seen 3 weeks ago, a car wash went up for sale. I waited too late to call. A car wash, you don't have to be there.
Oh, that's automated. That's automated.
Yeah, you just show up and make sure the machines are good. Now, I recommend focusing in industries that have your level of focus. Like I'm into media. So if I see somebody selling an advertising business, I want to buy that. If I see somebody selling a photography business, I want to buy that. Anything related to my field, I'm going to buy that. If it's something boring like a laundromat or a car wash, I'll look into that as well. But anything that's in your industry or your area of focus, figure out how you can acquire it. Because, bro, here's the key. These baby boomers never learned how to scale their business. Their kids don't want the businesses. They're about to die and they're ready to retire, and their businesses are going to die and retire with them. And it doesn't have to happen. So write this name down too. Cody Sanchez, C-O-D-I, Sanchez. She's a beast, bro. And Alex Hermosi, H-O-R.
Oh, yeah, I do. I follow Alex on the Instagram.
He taps on acquiring a little bit, but that's what his business is, acquisition.com. He acquires businesses. And think about this, bro. If you think about someone like Kylie Jenner built up the lip injection business, all of that. She sold 51% of it after it was worth, I forget how many billion. That's how people make their money.
That's crazy. That's so smart. That's why even when you see like companies just buying out different companies, you never see them like starting new ones. They just be buying out.
Yep. Like the CEO of Coca-Cola, I believe, made $1 million last year. Guess how much the owner made, who doesn't even step in the building?
How much?
$100 million.
Wow.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's about purchasing the business as being a good leader. And we think that we got to start the business from scratch.
Hell no.
It's just like real estate, bro. You come in, you see potential in this business, you buy it, and then you sell it. Think about Jay-Z with Bacardi. He's trying to sell it for $300 million. Or 50 Cent with vitamin water. Seen an opportunity, built it up, sold vitamin water for $4 billion.
Crazy.
That's what they're doing with alcohol. You know what I mean? Terramana. You know what I mean? All of these. That's what it's about. Buying a business, fixing it up like a property. You know what I mean? And then selling it to somebody who sees the value in it. That's how people are building wealth. You could take $10,000 and cash out $2 million after 3 to 5 years of putting some good work into this business.
And it's something that nobody talks about. It's something you never hear. Like
they don't. They're not talking about it, especially not in our community.
No.
Especially not. And you know what? People are talking about it, but what I just heard not a psychologist, a neuroscience scientist say, he said that the nervous system cannot take in any new information that's outside of your emotional scope. If there's something that you don't understand, I may say something in this conversation that goes over your head. And the feelings you're going to get are your body like fights. You'll either feel annoyed, you'll get bored, you'll be like, what the heck is this person talk about? You might get sleepy. Your body is fighting you from that information that doesn't register. So people are talking about it. After this conversation, you're going to hear so many people talking about it because now it registers.
Yeah, and I'm aware.
And this is another one of those blind spots. That's why now, if I feel like embarrassed or bored or tired when somebody's talking that I know is smarter and more successful than me, I kick in another gear. Like, no. This is that information that's not registering because it's going to take me to the next level.
Use it as a warning. Like, that's game too. Use it as a warning. Like, you start feeling that boredom, start feeling those negative things. Like, hold on. This means I need to lock in.
It's called blind. I call them blind spot detectors. Different. I remember moments that were moments so that when that moment comes again, it could be a teachable moment. Like embarrassment is somebody seeing something I can't see. That's a blind spot.
Very true.
If I feel embarrassed, this might be an opportunity for me to grow. If my wife pisses me off by pointing something out that disturbs me,
thinking that.
I take a step back and be like, whoa. Is this one of them moments?
I was just thinking that.
Blind spot detection, bro. I'm trying to grow as fast as possible. And that's spotting my blind spot. That's why chapter 2 was about blind spots. You know what I mean? That's real to me.
Peep that, y'all. Chapter 2 about blind spots. Peep that. Peep that. Wow, Wow, because I even when you say that, like I even see that like when I think about when you say that, like the blind spots and the reactions, I think immediately like relationships. And immediately like, okay, now we're gonna have a tough conversation. The first reaction can like you crazy or like
Right. You want to
tripping,
react.
like you wilding, but it's like I don't even know. It's like you could be completely cool with me, like not even on no, like not even on no BS, like, but it's
And
just your initial
here's,
reaction.
here's the two indicators. When there's the loved ones who point out your blind spots, and then there's those who are smarter than you. Your loved ones, you want to react, it becomes emotional. If
Mm-hmm.
it's someone who's smarter than you might feel a little bit embarrassed, and you might want to impress them by acting like you know what they're
Yeah.
saying. So you're like, yeah, I get it. Yep. I mean, because you don't want them to think you're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I've mastered saying, whoa, wait a minute. Let's take a step back. That sounded crazy, and I need to understand it. Start over again. And it's crazy when the more that I do that, those people take me under their wing. They become mentors. Those are the things that turn somebody successful into a mentor for you when they see, because they know you don't understand it. They know it. They can feel it. And if you stop and say, wait a minute, I need you to slow down. That sounded crazy. I need to know what the hell that is. If you do that, they know you're coachable and that you're someone that they could trust.
For sure. No,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense too. That makes sense. I feel like it also just shows like humility
Mm-hmm.
and like a sense of like, okay, you actually gonna appreciate the information I'm about to tell you, even
Facts.
like you're not gonna waste my time because there's somebody else out there that you know what I'm saying that actually would care. It's like why I ain't gonna waste it on you.
That's a fact. That's a big fact, man. That's a big fact, man. I was at a film festival, and Spike Lee's man was there. And I was just watching people walk up to him, and they all just kept saying, "Man, I love your work. Congratulations, you're so great." And I'm thinking to myself, I literally am thinking to myself, what is the question that I could ask that lets you know I really want to learn, and that actually gets you to give me the keys that you don't think I'm ready for? That's the goal for talking to somebody who's way more successful than you. You clearly have something that you could say to me that would be a drop of balm on my life. How do I get you to know that I'm ready to listen to that you're not going to waste your time? And so when I walked up to him, I shook his hand, talked, and I just asked him straight up. I'm like, man, you being here in Pittsburgh, what do you think is missing in the film industry? Like, what does Pittsburgh need to do in order to become its own Hollywood? Not like Hollywood, but its own Hollywood. He said, walk with me. And we literally talked for an hour.
Wow.
And I just listened. You know what I mean? But I got
Mm-hmm.
that because I interview people all day long. So I've learned how to ask the questions to get you to give me the keys that you want to give.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah, I'm gonna start applying that. Most definitely, I'm gonna start applying that. Especially now that I'm in this podcast world and I'm seeing the amount of networking that comes from this.
yeah,
And,
because everybody got an ego. You
yeah,
saying you want to interview me? I'm like, hell yeah, we can interview. What's up?
yeah,
Like now I get to set up my cameras, boom, boom, so that
yeah.
I could come back and get like 10 reels and boom, boom, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like people interviewing, you can get anybody to the table and talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we'll probably build forever. You know what I mean? You call on
Mm-hmm.
me like we now have a relationship.
Most
Like
definitely.
most people that I've interviewed, there's a relationship there now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you got something with this, man.
Man, I appreciate that. I hope I'm putting everything I got in this thing. So,
Yeah.
but I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this. Like, and I say that I feel like if you want to be like really successful in something, especially like when you're building from the ground, like something like this, you have to actually enjoy it. Like, or else you're not gonna get past like the trials that come with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's a fact, man. That's a fact because it's going to drive you crazy, and if there ain't no purpose behind it, you know what I mean. That's a good reason to call it quits because it drove you crazy. Um,
I've been there plenty of times.
yeah, that's 1,000%. So, what is your in terms of have you found your niche when it comes to the content?
What you mean by that?
Is there any specific topics? Um, is there any specific goals that you'd like to knock out? Like Cody Sanchez is her thing is acquiring businesses and teaching
Mm-hmm.
people about acquiring businesses, where Gary Vee's about marketing, Patrick Bet David's about politics and building businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of has their goal. Mine's is uh, bridging mental health and purpose to build generational wealth and break cycles in our community. Um, have you found your mission yet?
I would say I wouldn't say I fully found it, just being real, but I would say like, if this makes sense, I would say like influence, like I like what I mean by that is like, I want people to like wake up in the morning, be able to listen to this, and be able to leave with some gem in their head. They can come back to it like repeatedly and help them throughout whatever situation goes through their day.
Okay.
That's basically what I want to do.
Okay. And that's a niche in itself. If you think about who you are and the individuals who would get the most value from that daily inspiration, like who needs that? Who gets the most value from that?
Mm-hmm.
If you could pinpoint who those kinds of people are, that's a niche.
Mm.
Because not everybody does that. You know what I mean? So if you figure out who those kinds of people are, those could be entrepreneurs, those could be athletes, those could be, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that could
That's,
be your niche.
that's what I say. Like, I'm not really limited. Like, who like I want on here. Like, I want like influencers, entrepreneurs, like great thinkers, anybody like that who's just making an impact in the world, like benefiting something besides themselves, and just
Mhm.
like ultimately just having some sense of value to people. You know what I mean?
All right.
Like
I
all
felt
put together.
hell yeah, man. Yeah, man. Definitely good luck to you. Where you from?
Indiana.
Indiana?
Indiana. I don't know where you know South Bend at. I'm in that area, like South Bend. I say I'm close to Indianapolis. That's what I would say.
All right, all right, all right. Okay, okay. One thing I challenge you to do, bro, is look around to I forget what they're called. Let me find the name. There's some kind of banks, foundations, art organizations. They are giving out funds to help individuals like build up.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
You know what I'm saying? Like right here, we got a thing called PA Council of the Arts. They give you like $2,000 to buy equipment, or Heinz Foundation, or there's the Black Arts Initiative where they'll fund you to go do art for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would look into, write down the word foundations, and I would look up art organizations and call these folks and just see if there's any programs out there where folks would pay for equipment, um, all of that stuff. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And network all any if you see any kind of film festival close to you within an hour, go,
Mm-hmm.
go, go, because when you get there and you meet people, that's where
That's when you start yeah.
all of my deals and my big contracts have come from me meeting people at
Mm-hmm.
conventions, conferences, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so I'm addicted to them. If I see one, I'm paying
Yeah.
and I'm going.
Like I'm starting to get that. I'm starting to get that thought process like with this, because like I'll do this, and then like people be like, "Oh, well, I got a boy who's in the same field. Like you should hit him up." And I'm like, "Okay," and then I'm like, "Oh," and then he's like, "Oh, I got a boy." You know what I mean? So it's just like I'm like, okay, like the people I would never have the chance to like connect with, I'm like getting the chances to just because I'm talking. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. And you're at an age where you could get some friends to come with you. Like I'm at
Mm-hmm.
an age where I'm old. Everybody got kids, so I'm going to these things by myself. It's
Yeah,
awkward going there by yourself. You know what I mean? You can go there with a friend or two and,
exactly.
you know what I mean, move around and feel good. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. I definitely challenge you to do both of those things. Look for them funds and go to any event you can.
For sure. For sure. Hey, and I appreciate you for coming on here and just spending time talking and just dropping some gems for everybody, including myself. Like I know I'm definitely coming out here with a lot of knowledge and a lot of growth. So I really appreciate that.
No problem, no problem. Where do you normally post your interviews at?
YouTube and Spotify, and
Okay.
then I'll post like the short content on TikTok and like to try to get that going and all that. So,
Okay.
but
Use any softwares for short joints? You heard of the Opus?
I be using what's it called? It's like video, like
IQs?
Vid captions. That's what
Okay.
I be using to do like the captions and make it all like short content form.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever heard of Munch?
Mm-mm.
Look up Munch, and I believe it's called Opus, OPIS. Like you could put this whole
OPIS.
yeah, something like that. If you, I would say Opus short form content, and something should come up.
Mm.
But these joints, you can put the whole episode in there, and it will go find the moments for you and turn it into reels and put captions on it for you.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it'll break it into categories of what we're talking about and let you know what people are looking for. Like if this one's about motivation, it'll be like 60% of the people are looking for this kind of content, and you can go get that specific one and not have to do artificial
Man,
intelligence.
that'll help me so much because I'm not lying to you. I'll go through the video and like, all right, well, here's a spot. Do cut.
Oh man, and that takes forever.
Mm.
And I'm sure you heard of Fiverr too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's another spot, you know what I mean? But that Opus and Munch, check them out. I don't know which one's better. I've never used either of them. But those are the ones that
I'm
people use.
gonna see what's popping with those for sure.
So
Save me time.
all right. Facts, man.
Give me more energy to put in something else for this pot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Different area of this. But most definitely. But yeah. Thank you again for coming on, joining me. It was a great conversation. I'll definitely be keeping in touch with you for sure.
All right. And let me know whenever you put it out, because I won't make any
Yeah.
short form content until you ready to drop it. You know what I mean? I'll chill.
For sure.
Once you drop, you know what I mean? I'll use some of the clips.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think you follow me on Instagram, so you'll definitely see that, and I'll send it to you when I drop it too.
okay.
It'll be coming out in the next few days.
All right, that's a bet.
For sure. For sure.
My dude.